So I'm pulling out my popcorn right here
Uh-oh.
because we're talking about conflict today.
Conflict.
So guess what? Every great action movie has conflict.
That's right.
But how do you resolve it? So that's what we're talking about today.
So break out
On
the
Coffee with
popcorn.
Wow.
Kim, breaking out the popcorn.
Breaking out the popcorn.
So, welcome to
think-
Coffee with Kim.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Wow, you had us so
I-
caught up with the popcorn pullout.
No.
We're with props, all kinds
gonna
of
have
stuff
some.
now. So, welcome to Coffee with Ken. We're here with Ken Brown, CEO of Destiny Global,
Good morning.
and Butch McCracken. He's the general manager here at Destiny Global, and I am Dr. April Brown, coach and coach trainer here at Destiny Global. And so that's what we're talking about. We're talking about conflict and how do we resolve it. It's something that I've really been seeing a lot of this last couple of weeks, and it's really something that it's really hard to know how to navigate that when you have tension, you have feelings. Different people have different perspectives and feelings about situations, and
Right.
so how do we resolve that while I eat my popcorn?
Wow, you just lay that bomb out there and roll it over
Oops.
here. Now we're throwing popcorn.
throwing
It's
popcorn.
really good.
Getting beat.
Well, obviously, because sometimes when you bring out the popcorn, it's because you're about ready to watch a show. I know in circumstances that I've been in where the conflict has been so intense, it's almost so dramatic. It's like going to the movie because it's unfolding in front of you. And obviously, conflict resolution is a score. A key skill, score. It is a score. It is a key skill that we teach here, that we go through at Dynasty. But really, the first thing is realizing that there is conflict. Right? Some people, you notice that there's a difference in their behavior towards you. You notice that they could be avoiding you. And I found it's just best is to approach them and come right out with it and say, hey, have I done something to offend you? Have I caused you some uncomfortableness that you would like to talk to me about? And when I do that, it usually gives that person, gives them permission to do that. Some people, it takes a little while for them to process because of the different positions that you'll serve, like a parent or a boss, or, sometimes
Even
it
a
can,
friend.
yes, it can take them a little while. Yep, they may not be ready to talk about it based on their personality type. However, you coming forward opens that door. And opening the door to resolve conflict is a big thing, and recognizing that there's conflict is a big thing.
Yeah.
So often we just get caught up in our daily actions that we just blow right through things. We get focused on the task. We're going to go hit the goals. We're going to keep moving, and we can just run right over things. And this person's sitting here grinding through how to actually approach you and discuss something that you may have done to them. So. And the same thing is true that if I've got conflict with someone, is I know that I need to own that and go to them and say, hey, can I talk to you about something? I was made aware of a situation I'd like to talk with you about, and bring it up. Don't let
So-
this thing sit.
Like, how do you view people in the workplace that do that have that desire to resolve these?
It increases
Conflicts.
it increases their value because it brings you. I'm obviously coaching a lot right now, as you guys know, a lot of people, and there's blind spots. And I work with executives on the one thing that we have to look out for is blind spots. So when someone brings something to me that I may not have noticed, it's important that I recognize that, because typically what I have found in my experience is that if I've done it to one, I've likely done it to several.
Yeah.
So guilty.
If you get that feedback and
Yes.
somebody's giving you that feedback, listen to it
Sure.
and even inquire about, like, have other people seen that in you? That can be very
But being authentic about it as
powerful.
well.
Yeah.
So I have to get myself in the right mindset, because if I'm upset about something, that I can actually be projecting that
Sure.
upsetness
Through
on
body
what I'm
language
dealing with onto them, and not
Yeah.
intentionally do it. Sometimes our children can get that, and man, it can cause real damage. You're not even noticing you're doing it, and then they're backing off or like, wait a minute, why is this so hard? You know, I
Yeah.
didn't put a dish in the sink, and then you back up and
Yeah.
the other thing is then acknowledging that I've caused someone pain and asking them to forgive me,
Mm-hmm.
right? However it is.
Yeah. That's so true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you have to, as general manager, you do a lot of dealing with the conflict here at Destiny Global. You know,
And in
I
the
know it
many
can be hard to
years-
get along with. How do you deal with that conflict?
Well, I got to talk to Mr. Brown about you, but that aside, no, you know, one of the greatest, as Ken was talking and yourself, that I was thinking about, for me, in my personality, I had to learn, I wish I would have had GEMS, which is what we teach
Yeah,
at First Steps
right.
early in my management career,
Mm-hmm.
because I wouldn't have avoided conflict. I would have, I'd go, it ain't worth it. But it's always worth it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Till I got to a point where I'd go, again, sitting there thinking how I felt after the conflict was brought up. Whether there was resolution, whether there were fireworks, whatever it is, how I felt after,
Yeah.
I felt really good, because it was taken off of your chest. Because especially the individuals that struggle with conflict, it's a burden. It's
Yes,
heavy on their
weighs
mind,
heavy.
and when they're in a leadership role, they know that it has to take place. Still doesn't make it fun,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't have to be dreaded.
Yeah.
So for me, it was always looking forward to the after, because it'll always get resolved,
Mm.
right? But humbling yourself, be willing to listen to what they had to say, and get to it right away. Don't let the grass grow under your feet, because sometimes our worst enemy is our own imagination of how a conversation's going to
Right.
Yes.
So
go,
true.
right?
We imagine
You
it the
never
worst.
sit here
Mhm.
in a potentially a potential discussion for conflict and go, wow, we're going to hold hands at the
Yeah.
end and skip
Sing
through the gardens
Kumbaya.
and sing kumbaya and share popcorn together. No, you're not going to do that. Your mind takes you
Yeah.
to all the conflict that's going to
Mhm.
take place, and well, they're going to say this and I'm going to say this, and then you get done, you go, I just tormented myself,
Right.
and I didn't even need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the longer you allow it to fester, the longer you go down that road,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go in in a different mindset, ready to fight versus ready to resolve.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
jump into it as fast as you can
Mm-hmm.
and work through it, humbling yourself, willing to listen, owning your part in it, and moving on.
Right.
Yeah, when you're one of the exercises that is done at one of our trainings, which is our next level of training in creating a dynasty, that's how I felt. Like I felt like sick to my stomach,
Mhm.
going through it. But afterward, I was like, I feel that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So why not go through it to get to the other side to actually have peace and resolution that
Yeah.
even if they didn't
Mhm.
accept it or whatever happens, you did your part to
Yes.
bring the resolution and you can have peace in it. So
Yeah. No,
it's
totally.
really powerful.
And then sing
Mhm.
kumbaya.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
It is an action that you have to take, though.
The law of action.
It is a law of
Taking it.
action. You have to put
Mhm.
it into motion. Is forgiveness is an action.
Yeah.
It's not just an easy word. It is an action that has to be taken and a process to go through to reach resolution. Because if you don't reach it, let's talk about that for a minute. If you don't reach it and you don't resolve things, you start beginning to feel yourself, as we call it, it's
Yeah.
toxicity, because you're literally poisoning your own self with holding on to that, because bitterness is never good.
Yeah.
Bitterness, because it just leads to discomfort and disease and all the negative things that you could possibly think of. The
Mhm.
root of that comes out of that often is bitterness that's been built over
Yes.
time, unforgiveness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why, it is literally a biblical action that tells us that we're to go to when we have something against our brother or our sister, to go to them and to
Yeah.
tell before we
Right.
even come with our prayers, so that
Sure.
we can have that freedom from that bitterness and that resentment that is built up and the unforgiveness.
Yeah.
It's very powerful.
It is
Yeah.
very true. It is very true.
And it hinders, and it's not even that it hinders our prayers as much as it hinders our relationship and our alignment with Him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah.
So
why
very
He
true.
tells us to do that. So it's super powerful, and faith without works is dead. Like we
That's
have
so
to
true.
have the actions behind what we believe.
Right.
And we just think that, oh, just have a little more faith. No, you have to put the actions behind it. And how often we're not teaching this at churches, but every time we teach about forgiveness and about the ego and letting go of your ego, because those are the things that hinder us. Those are the
Yeah.
things that hold us back from being successful. And so if you want to know more about this, you can
Yes.
actually come to our training event this month, September 23rd through the 25th in San Antonio, in a very
Yes.
nice hotel, and you'll be with people of like-minded that are
Right.
following these same principles. And that's First Steps to Success. We'd love to see you there.
Yes,
And
we would.
information is below. And
Yes.
if you want to keep following us every week, Coffee with Ken, we'd love to have you here next week where we talk about these topics and just everyday topics of what we're dealing with in the workplace and with our families. We'd love to have you like, share, do all the things, tag people.
Do them all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
so
for
we
sure.
can continue to just love interacting with you, and we'd love to meet you at our next event, First Steps to Success. Information below. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see y'all next week on Coffee with Ken.
Have a
That's
great
right.
day.
See you, gang.
Bye.